In part 6 we looked at how HOLONs give us a straightforward picture of how our minds are structured, and how this structure ties in with Carl Jung's view of the conscious and subconscious mind. In this video we will discover how we make decisions, where our emotions come from, and how social HOLONs concisely describe the nature of mental health and mental illness. At the end of part 6 we posed 3 questions that needed answering. How do we decide which HOLONs to think about? How do we make our decisions? And how do we feel about the decisions that we make? A little illustrated story will help us find the answers. We will call this story Harry's Harrowing Decision. The diagram shows Harry's reflexive self, and just 3 of Harry's HOLONs: his body HOLON, his family HOLON, and his workplace HOLON. His family HOLON consists of his wife and daughter. His workplace HOLON consists of his manager and his work colleague HOLONs. Harry is a family man, and he works shifts in a factory. This particular day he's been working the morning shift, but he is looking forward to finishing and going home to his family because it is his daughter's birthday. The family have been planning a lovely birthday party for that afternoon. When he finishes his shift, Harry sets off home. He is feeling very good. The shift went well, and he is really looking forward to the party. Halfway home, his mobile phone goes off. It is his manager. He tells Harry that his relief has had to go home sick, and he wants Harry to go back to work. Poor Harry. His day has been really messed up. He has to make a decision. In his introspection, his workplace HOLON tells him that he should definitely go back to work. If he doesn't, he will be letting the company down. His work colleagues will have to work extra hard to maintain production. Without him, some production will inevitably be lost, and this could impact on the viability of the company. And if this led to redundancies, he might be the first on the list. His family HOLON tells him something totally different. It says to him, "We've been planning this party for weeks. If you don't make it, you will lose the chance to have some valuable bonding time with your daughter. And you are supposed to be picking up the cake from the local shop. If you don't, your wife is going to be very, very annoyed." Harry is bombarded with fearful scenarios from both of his social organisms. No matter what he decides to do, he is going to feel bad. His decision will inevitably result in emotions in his centre of consciousness. He may feel confused, regretful, shameful, belittled, angry, a whole host of negative emotions. And no matter what he decides, he will have a conscience about the decision for a long time. So what does this story illustrate? Well, it tells us that HOLONs crave our support. They need us so that they can grow. If Harry decides to go back to work, the workplace HOLON, the company, grows, or at least doesn't shrink, and so maintains its existence. It puts a lot of pressure on Harry to go back to work. If Harry decides to put his family first, then his partnership marriage is strengthened, as is his relationship with his daughter. The family HOLON is more secure, more bonded. If he decides not to support the family HOLON, there is a danger that the relationships will deteriorate and the family HOLON may break up, ceasing to exist after a divorce. The family HOLON put a lot of pressure on Harry to put his family first. This story illustrates that our emotions are generated by our social holons when we make decisions. And holons can give us a long-term conscience about the decisions that we make. No matter what decision Harry makes, he is going to feel bad. While making the decision, he is going to feel confused by the conflicting pressures. Once he has made his decision, one or other of his holons is going to generate some emotions. If he sides with his family, his workplace will make him feel shameful that he's been disloyal to the company. He may also be fearful that his workplace holon will punish him on his return to work. At the very least, the workplace holon will have generated a conscience about the decision in Harry's centre of consciousness. He will have a long-term conscience about the decision. If he sides with his workplace, his family holon will make him feel bad because he is an uncaring father and an unreliable partner. Again, he will have a long-term conscience about the decision. All these complications and emotions arose from a simple but difficult decision. Simple because only two holons were involved, but difficult because the consequences were profound. So what do complex decisions look like? Well, here we are illustrating a situation where very many social holons have an interest in the decision, i.e., the decision will affect whether or not they grow or shrink. Each separate holon will put its own pressure on the centre of consciousness of the person making the decision. In order to come to a balanced decision, the person making that decision must think reflexively about each separate holon in turn and take into account its viewpoint. This is obviously hard work, and a great number of emotions are likely to be generated that will lead to the person having some sort of conscience about that decision. In this series, we don't have time to delve further into the holon view of complex decision-making, but it is sobering to imagine how many holons, say a country's leader, may have to take into account when making a decision. In this slide, we've been looking at what Eugene Halliday called reflexive thinking. In a holon context, this translates as making decisions based on the viewpoints of many holons. But we now have to ask the question: how powerful can individual holons be in influencing our decisions? Well, sometimes, in fact many times, we short-circuit reflexive thinking, and we make what I would like to call deflexive decisions. Instead of considering all the relevant holons, a few or only one holon is considered. This decision path is shown in red. In effect, the decision is not taken by the reflexive self, it is taken by a single or a few holons. Deflexive thinking is very likely to lead to defective thinking, because many holons pertaining to the decision are unconsidered. Let's have a look at how we can illustrate the comparative power of social holons. We can represent the comparative influence of any particular holon on a person's reflexive self by drawing holon ovals of different sizes. Here we are taking an interest in football as an example. So left to right we are going from someone who has never heard of football to someone being totally obsessed by the game. And now we can illustrate a football fan's mindset. We see that the football HOLON is very large compared to the other HOLONs in the football fan's mind. It dominates this person's thinking. We can easily show this person's reflexive and deflexive thinking routes. If our football fan is thinking of doing some gardening instead of going to a football match, they are more likely to go to the match, because the football HOLON is dominant and it is powerful enough to convince the person to make a deflexive decision, even if all the other person's HOLONs see reasons to do something else. The more attention we give to a HOLON, the bigger it grows, and the more influential it becomes. The question is, can we improve our capacity for balanced reflexive thinking and prevent dominant HOLONs from over-influencing our thought processes? Somehow, we need to shrink the size of dominant HOLONs. Unfortunately, we cannot just ignore them, because they exist as part of a person's mindset. To bring them into balance with everything else, we need to train them. Eugene Halliday gives this example for somebody who easily gives in to cream cakes. He suggested that they should obsess over a very tempting cream cake until they are drooling over it. Then they should ignore it and go and do something else, anything else, maybe have a game of football. In HOLON terms, when somebody does this sort of exercise, they shrink the size of the dominant HOLON, in this case the cream cake, and bring it more into balance with all the other HOLONs of the mindset. So, what happens when social HOLONs are overbearing? Well, this is a basis for obsessive illnesses. Here we are illustrating the mindset of a cocaine addict. The cocaine habit HOLON dominates every other HOLON in the addict's mindset, so they lose all connection to their other HOLONs. The addict cannot think reflexively. All decisions are made by the cocaine HOLON that continues to grow. All other HOLONs are ignored. Of course, people can become obsessed and addicted to all sorts of things. All we need to do to illustrate this is change the label of the dominant HOLON in the previous slide. So, we can put in alcohol for alcoholism, eating for obesity, not eating for anorexia, cleaning for OCD, working for the workaholic, and many others. In all cases, the dominant HOLON convinces the reflexive self that life will not be livable unless that dominant HOLON is continuously supported. Addiction is driven by the dominant HOLON's fear of shrinking. All HOLONs want to grow, but overbearing HOLONs, unchecked, will do so at the expense of all the others, destroying the person's reflexive self, destroying that person's mind. So what happens when a body HOLON becomes overbearing? In this case, the body HOLON convinces the reflexive self that the body HOLON has to dominate all its other social HOLONs. It does so because it is fearful of shrinking. There is no reflexive thinking. All decisions are fear-driven. A narcissist is compelled to dominate everything around them, and psychopaths will even kill people to assuage their need to dominate everyone and everything. So what could be at the other end of this body holon size spectrum? We discover depression. Here we are illustrating that when many holons of a reflexive self are large compared with the body holon, then decisions that benefit the body holon are last in the queue. This can create so much pressure and stress on the body holon that it can result in physical illnesses such as indigestion, headache, arthritis, high blood pressure, and other autoimmune diseases. People suffering from depression also find themselves opting out of making decisions because they are fearful of upsetting one or more of their competing social holons, and then having to deal with the emotional consequences of that decision. And for completion, what about infectious diseases? This slide illustrates the interfunctional link between stress, depression, and health. Infectious diseases have consequences ranging from symptomless illness to death. So here we are looking at a person who is stressed or depressed, and whose body holon is small in comparison to their other social holons. We can appreciate that a person with this holon mindset is more vulnerable to the effects of an infectious holon organism than someone whose body holon is larger and who is not depressed or stressed. The interfunctional consequences of this is that a person who is suffering from an infection or a trauma is also, in line with common sense, more vulnerable to stress and depression. So how are we doing on the list of things that we said we would like to account for? Well, we're doing okay. We've accounted for how we think, what our minds are and how we make up our mind, why we have families, societies, corporations and countries, where our emotions come from, and how we can be of balanced or unbalanced mind. We've also tagged on a holon view of infectious illness. It is apparent from this video that social holons have a considerable effect on our mindsets and on our mental and physical health. But there is another way that social holons can interfere with us having balanced minds, and they interfere in a way that we hardly notice, even though they may be doing us a considerable disservice, if not considerable damage. In the next video, we are going to look at groupthink.